This is the time of year when I typically harvest garlic. We're in the beginning to getting into mid-July, and I had pulled off the scapes a few weeks ago, and now I'm going to harvest this crop, and I just kind of want to work through the process that I'm going through this year and how things are planted with some other different species, and just kind of document all of that. Alright, so in this bed I have garlic on one side of the row here, and then further up that way I have it on 2 rows on this bed. And at some points I have some salsify in between. But so this garlic, just like a couple of weeks ago, there's an earwig there. But just like a couple of weeks ago, I went through, harvested off all the garlic scapes, right? Just pulled them out. And that's important, right? Because if you don't harvest out those garlic scapes, the bulbs will never really develop. And so when you remove that reproductive growth from the garlic plant, it sends it back down into the bulb, and will invest a lot more energy into, bulbing out and producing garlic. So it's important to be on top of that. But now we're getting to the point where it is time to actually harvest the garlic itself, right? Once the bottom leaves start to kind of yellow and wither and begin working their way up the plant, it's usually pretty close to being time to harvest that garlic. Yeah, these I planted back in the fall, and they overwintered. I think I had some grass mulch down in certain places. Definitely not the largest garlic plants. This variety, I think, or most of this is one variety that does produce kind of smaller heads, kind of more of that purplish coloration on the skin. And but even these are smaller than probably what this variety would normally be. So evidently I still kind of have a little bit of figuring out to do when it comes to growing garlic, but these still produce very viable, edible, and useful garlic cloves that can be used in cooking and saving for planting in the fall. 3-4 weeks ago or so, I did go through here and I harvested all of the scapes. Those are the pre-flower structures, and they will grow up out the center, and you just grab onto them and you pull them out. Some people clip them, but I find it easier to just go with my bare hands and just pull them out one by one. The scapes are awesome to use in cooking, different dips, hummuses, all those different things. They are delicious. They have a nice mild garlic flavor. Just really great to use overall. And it's important to remove them if you want clove development. Otherwise, the garlic heads will typically get, or the cloves will typically be few and small. So removing that reproductive growth encourages more vegetative growth and more energy being sent down into the bulb. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to, in this bed of garlic, and then I have some salsify too in the center row. I'm going to harvest out all the garlic. I'm going to replant, not replant, but I'm going to plant salsify in this center row going down, and in areas where I didn't have the salsify, because I only had like a partial row of salsify. This is the time of the year when that salsify would mature its seeds and they would drop to the ground. And then maybe on the 2 outer rows where I have the garlic, maybe I'll try and plant peppers there. It's certainly not going to be the only place where I plant peppers, but it might be a place that I might be able to use to grow peppers this season, as we are kind of running low on space. But all I do, I just have a pitchfork, and I position it a little bit of a ways from the base of the plant, because I don't want to dig into the bulb or into that clove. I don't want to puncture that structure or damage it in any way. So I can do it a little bit of a distance away, and I just work it down into the soil a little bit, and just kind of pry it up a little bit. Doesn't take much, right? And then the garlic clove pops right out. Clean off some of the dirt. And that smells like garlic for sure. And then what I'll do here is I'll clip off the roots, and then I'll clip it off here too, probably about a hand clipper's length up the stem, so maybe about here, and then let that dry, or let it cure, I guess, as you could say, for a few weeks with good air circulation. Thank you so much for checking out this video on harvesting garlic cloves. The bulbs, or the cloves, did seem kind of small. I'm wondering if it has to do with some soil compaction issues and or fertility issues, right? Like low fertility. I'm wondering if it might be good to add in some compost when I plant them, or you know, pre-work the soil in some way a little bit. But that'll be stuff to experiment with in the fall. So thank you so much for tuning in, and I look forward to seeing you in a future video. Take care.